Hello and welcome to another edition of At Home with Bridget Mermikides. And in today's episode we're going to be talking about playing related injuries. So can you give us a brief rundown of your life, your playing career? When did you start playing?
Gosh, I was 8 years old and I was at school and some girls were strumming guitars and it blew my mind. I think I already played the cello. My whole family are string players.
When did you start that then?
6.
Right.
Age 6. I think I was already playing in an orchestra at that point, pretending to sight read but actually playing by ear. But then I discovered guitar and I just could, the sound of those chords being strummed was just amazing. So I think I acquired a guitar the same day or borrowed one and learned the first 3 chords. And then from age 14, and I was doing chords and strumming and singing and things from age 8 to about 14, and then my mum said, okay, let's go and do this properly and found me a teacher. And I went, that was when I started my classical.
At 18?
At 14.
14?
At 14. I started
Right.
my classical lessons, yeah.
Where did your education go from then?
Well, I had private lessons from age 14 with various teachers, and there were gaps because where I lived there weren't really many classical guitar teachers, so I think at one point I was just following David Russell around the country on courses, weekend courses, and learning from him. And then I eventually went to the Royal Academy of Music. No, I went to the Guildhall for a brief spell, but I dropped out partly due to injury and took a bit of time out.
And what age is this?
I would think I was like 19.
So you've been playing classical seriously for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You got your first injury.
Yep. Yeah. And really from then on, then I think I took 3 years out. Then I went back to college, went to the academy, and really all the way through the academy was just on and off struggling with finding it hard to play, but desperately wanting to play. And it was just my left elbow on the inside. They call it golf arm, I think.
Yeah.
But it was that tender there to the point where my gripping sensation was felt so damaged. I could feel this sort of twang in my arm here. And it was a weird thing that it's hard to explain what it felt like, but I knew it was just weak, and it got to the point where I really couldn't squeeze anymore. It was so weak. It felt like at one point I did go and have cortisone injections in here, which I don't think helped. I think for about 2 weeks I felt really strong. I was like, oh yeah, this is it, I found the solution. And it absolutely
It's just
made
a mask.
it so much worse because I just played through it. I was like, yeah, it was like being on steroids or being pumped up, and I played really hard. I just didn't have I hadn't learnt yet how not to hurt myself playing. I think I have now. I was principal cellist of the Cumbria Youth Orchestra when I was a teenager, and the pain in my left shoulder from playing. Long days of rehearsing. I can remember at one time I was in tears on the day of a concert because I was in so much agony right before the concert. Just my left shoulder here, just from holding, and because I wasn't used to practicing very much, but long hours of rehearsing for several days in a row.
Right.
Was what did
That
it
would
for
definitely
me.
do it, yeah.
Absolutely.
Because when you're holding your arm up like that, you're not just using this, you've got to support it with your trapezius as well.
So I gave up the cello.
Yeah,
That's
I can,
the spirit,
I can understand
isn't it?
that. Well, you had
But
another
then
love.
guitar took over and I got a whole another set of injuries from that. This was the worst one, was my left hand, that I could only play for a short time, and then the aching and the burning and the weakness would be that I just couldn't keep pressing anything. I couldn't play bar chords, I couldn't.
You're talking now about the tendinitis.
My tendinitis previous injury. Like I said, I had the cortisone injections and I did stupid things and played too much. And eventually, it was only after I finished music college that I thought, okay, either I'm just going to give up or I've got to slow right down and try. And I was so desperate to play the guitar. I've always been desperate to play the guitar that I would do anything.
How long has it been since that's been a problem?
At least 20 years.
Oh, right.
20 years. But then I really haven't. I barely played that sort of repertoire. No, I have a few times. Yeah, it's about 20 years, but it would, Have you ever heard people talk about The only way I can describe it, and I never managed to speak to any medical professionals who would take this seriously, but what would happen for me is if I would squeeze or grip with my left hand like this, I would feel the tension in my entire forearm. It would be like the muscle was then tight, but it wouldn't release. It would feel like it would be like the feeling of squeezing a sponge and let go, and it would still have the squeezing, and it would come out like this. It would only unsqueeze very, very, very slowly. That was my feeling. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was the feeling in this
It's not
arm.
relaxing quickly enough.
Yeah, it wouldn't, the muscle tightness wouldn't undo. It wouldn't. I couldn't just go squeeze, undo, squeeze, and it would just be continually then in this sort of spasm, I suppose. Not spasm, more like the muscle was engaged. It was not quite as extreme as that, but it would be the point where it would, maybe. It was just that it would be sort of tight and tense, and I'd have to wait until it would undo.
There might be a few different possibilities. So a muscle can't relax as fast as it can tense, because this is the mechanism for generating more power. We've got two ways of generating more power. One is to use more muscle fibers. The other is that our body takes advantage of the slower relaxation, and it gives contraction signals so fast that the muscle doesn't have time to relax. So it builds up the strength in a thousandth of a second. The relaxation phase of a muscle is about twice as long as the contraction.
That's right.
But when the muscles get tired, that slowing down, that relaxation gets even slower.
Yeah.
So it could be because of all the damage that you've done. It might be a lasting effect of that. Maybe you don't have enough drainage. The veins might not have enough outflow. You've got to have enough. There isn't anything to pull the blood out. You've got to rely on how powerful the blood is being pushed in to push out the other blood. And the more active and fit you are as a person, the better your heart can get the blood flow in.
It really does feel like something to do with the blood flow in and out of that muscle. That's what it felt. What you're saying, the relaxation taking longer than the exertion of the muscle tightening, is that right?
Yeah.
You obviously know a lot about the physiology of this.
Some.
There's
a lot to learn.
I'm sure. But what I didn't have was that relaxation, and even now, today, I'll choose fingering. I can look at a finger and think, oh no, that's going to make my arm start to ache. I'm going to change that fingering. Like there's certain manoeuvres. For me, it's all about left-hand fingering, to get the fingering that will least fatigue my left forearm.
So you might need to see a neurologist. It could be, the problem might be in your hand, it might be local, it might be in your brain.
It's such a deep problem. I think that I've overcome it by simply choosing repertoire that doesn't allow that to become out of control. It doesn't seem to be quite such a problem now.
I don't know if a physical treatment like massage is going to be treating the symptom, which may help. Maybe you're targeting the root cause.
I did have a lot of massage on this.
Did that help at all?
Yeah, I think so. I think it did. I think it did.
My feeling would be hit it with everything you can. You've got the right mental approach to fixing it.
Yeah.
Try finding somebody who actually would say, "Oh yes, I know."
But now I think I've found a sort of sweet spot where I can just manage to do what I need to do with my playing. And
but it's not an ideal thing to have to be tiptoeing around this little thing all the time.
I guess not, but I think I've been lucky with the job that I've got, because I have quite a satisfying output of work that I didn't expect to be doing, and it feels quite fulfilling and rewarding what I've ended up doing.